Hey Craig, how you doing? This is fantastic. The video response is, I love it. I think it's so cool. One little tip, I've got a couple questions. What software did you use to capture the video? Um, and you can use Screencast-O-Matic. That's what I use. It allows the camera, which is, I think it adds a little level of engagement. So that's food for thought. It's really super easy to learn, very minimal learning curve. Um, but one thing I would recommend is you want to probably try to keep your videos much shorter, specifically if you're going to use in response in a discussion board. Typically, students probably start to lose interest after 6 or 7 minutes. That's why I've always got the clock running when I do my videos. Sometimes I tend to be a little winded in my responses and critiques, and students seem to appreciate that. But sometimes the announcements I see, looking uh, at the course statistics, sometimes I see the announcements aren't always watched. So just a little food for thought there. I've read a lot of studies that say under 6 minutes is probably your best chance of getting the video viewed in full. So food for thought. Okay, let's go through it. The piece is it's phenomenal. There's no question. It's just gorgeous. Nice work. A couple of recommendations, of course. All right, so let's start from the top. Love the typography. Outstanding. Love it. Just really a fantastic hook. One thing I would say is that surprisingly dangerous mechanics is such an interesting title. And I just kind of want to separate a video game microtransactions a little bit. I would recommend just reduce that just a point or two, just to add a little bit more emphasis on this gorgeous typography up here. Another thing you might consider doing is adding some, maybe try a little red in dangerous and see how that works. That might add a little visual engagement. But I love the typography of the title. Excellent job. You start with a user scenario. That's amazing. That's great stuff right there. All right, let's take it from the top. As I said, okay, the illustration really hits home. I think the shadows that you've added, it adds some depth and dimension that I think is really needed. Now, one area in the illustration that I think is being flattened out are the wings. The wings have this basic gradient on it, and I think that's being flattened out a little bit. And I think also Sparkle is a little bit flat too, and that Sparkle's got this kind of color banded visual posture that kind of depletes any sort of depiction of depth, dimension, and volume. And we can clearly see through this area right here that depth, dimension, and volume just adds a ton of visual engagement right through here. It's a great pose. I just love this illustration. Like I said, the wings though, and I think the face are just lacking a little bit in that depth, dimension, and volume that you've so successfully built in the illustration. Right here, I'm not real sure about the semi-transparent boxes. I honestly, I think they're a little distracting to the type. Um, Not sure we need those. But I definitely would recommend getting a little dimension in those wings. All right, so the boxes right here, I think we're lacking a little bit of contrast based on the color of the pie chart, the pink, and the pink for the wings. You might consider, and also the red right there too. This will demarcate a little bit more differentiation if you use a different color in the pink. And then also, I mentioned this last week, and I don't think that you addressed this in the video. But this box right here and this box right here are kind of, they're behind her where the rest kind of surround her. So that's basically a somewhat of an anomaly. And I think that I know you're trying to make a connection here, but I'm just a little concerned about the consistency. I think if we pulled that away and pulled that away, I think it would really bring to consistency in the presentation of the individual boxes. Individual boxes are done great. Again, contrast right here. This star is the same color as the blade, and it's creating a little bit of visual confusion right there. I would recommend either removing the star from the blade or changing the color of the star, maybe to some harmonious yellow that you've used. That'll increase the contrast up there, and it will further delineate the sword from the stars. Um, Okay, great job here. That's looking fantastic. Again, this one is kind of tucked behind her like this, and I'm not real sure about that treatment there. Sparkle the Pet looks great, other than my comments about Sparkle being a little bit flat in the illustration. Really good dimension and volume in the gems, the loot boxes. Nice job there. Um, so everything's got this wonderful dimensionality. And really, when we take a look at this, there's a couple of areas that are somewhat flat. And as I mentioned, just in a review, the wings, maybe the hair, the face, and sparkle. Then we have a little compromised contrast right over here and here. Okay, moving down looks great. This looks great. Love the starburst in the background. You might even consider making that a little bit, just a little more prominent. I think that's a really great technique. Um, Try the starburst um, without the semi-transparent blue boxes for this, what can be done to resist predatory microtransactions. Okay, and then the bottom, I think this is excellent. Good job here. Little bit of I would like to see a little bit of a separation between the actual presentation of the condition and then the presentation of the solution. Right now, I'm just afraid that's just there's no hierarchy here saying that, hey, I'm a different section, treat me as such. Do you see what I'm saying? So I think that area right here, right in here, is a little bit cluttered. Not using cluttered as a derogatory term, but rather using it as a term that describes several visual elements converging in one location. So this area right here, a little bit cluttered right there. So I wonder what you can do here to make some separation here, increase the hierarchy of the bottom of the poster in just reinforcing that it's a different section. So think about that. Other than that, I think the typography is excellent. Layouts, excellent. Techniques, fantastic. Informational quality is outstanding. So, I mean, this is a phenomenal piece. There's no question. It's phenomenal. It's definitely, if you don't use this in your portfolio, can I use it in mine? Yeah, it's excellent. Really, really fantastic job. It's really been a pleasure working with you, Craig. You're a hard worker, and you're a quick designer too, and you've got really great ideas, and you're very well spoken in your video. So, I mean, I'm looking for good things for you in the design world. I think you're just really doing a fantastic job. All right, Craig, absolutely amazing job. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. I'll be glad to make any necessary clarifications. Thank you.